All right, guys, in this video, we're going to be disassembling the piston from the rod for the Chevelle LS Turbo project. And we'll also disassemble all the piston rings. Okay, let's disassemble the rod from the piston and remove the rings and all that good stuff, okay? So this is a Gen 4 rod, okay? And you can denote that by its thicker section over a Gen 3 rod, and also it's square looking down here. Okay. Another thing they do with these rods is they are called cracked cap. So they are manufactured as one piece. You know, these two pieces are together, and somehow in the process they literally crack this off, fracture it off. So that being said, it's really hard to mix up the caps, okay, versus other rods, because this brake here is unique to every rod, right? Okay, so anyway, the bearings are still in here. We'll remove that or whatever. Let's just go ahead and remove it. Okay, so what you want to do is roll them out opposite side of the tang, so they just pop right out. Same thing with this guy here. Okay. So these bearings look actually pretty good for this high mileage of an engine. But anyway, let's put that aside. So these are floating rods. You can see that this pin is a free fit through the piston and the rod. So when you remove the circlips here, it comes out. And this is exactly how all motorcycles set up. And I guess it's a better method over a press pin. And it's easier to work with. So, whenever you're dealing with circlips, put on safety glasses. These freaking things like to fly out. So these pockets here are for your needle nose pliers. Just get in here, grab the pin, and keep your thumb here, okay? See, this guy wants to jump out, so you just yank that guy out. Okay, we're going to yank it out on both sides because this thing is crusty. And you never want to reuse circlips, okay? So I'm going to have to find some new ones here. Okay, at this point it should just slide right out, right? But you got all this crusty carbon and whatnot in here, so what you can do is just hold this up, find a socket that's, you know, about that big, and just kind of give it a tap. Just doing light taps here. And you can see that guy's walking out. A little more depth here needed. Okay, once you get to that point, you can take the rod out, and then you can continue going with this. It's all jacked up with carbon. So there we go. Got that knocked out. So here's the wrist pin. Looks pretty good. It's just all dirty. The bushing in here looks okay. It's just dirty. So that's that. Okay, now let's remove the rings. So here's the opening. What you can do is you can just spread it with your fingers like that. And it kind of hurts. Here's a piston ring expander. We'll use that in a second. But here, you could also do this. You can lift one end and just kind of work it off. Just like so. See, like that? All right. Or you can get it to a point like that, and you can use this expander, and it just has wedges, and it wedges the ring. So there you go. You can spread it. Ring comes right off, right? And then we got a 3-piece oil ring, and these guys are all coked up with sludge. go ahead and remove it just like that. Okay, that came off in 2 pieces. So it's just jam-packed with sludge and carbon. Okay. All right, so I am going to be vapor blasting these. And I know some people are going to say, oh, you shouldn't do that. Well, vapor blasting is it can be very gentle. Fine media, low pressure, it'll rip this carbon right off, and so forth. Now, you see this black coating on here? It's like an anti-friction coating or noise coating or something, but you can see it has worn off on these 2 spots. Okay, this is where the piston's obviously acting against the cylinder wall, and it's gone already. So technically it's already failed, right? This coating isn't doing anything. So this coating here is doing nothing for us. So when I vapor blast this, it will take that off. Okay, I could actually probably scratch that off with my finger. Another piston I tried cleaning in Berryman Chem Dip to remove the carbon to avoid vapor blasting. I just tried it. And what happened is, yes, it removed some of the carbon, not all of it jammed in here, and it attacked the coating. Okay, so I'm vapor blasting these, removing this coating, and I'm just going to run these pistons that way. Okay, but that's how you take this all apart. Okay, along with the orientation of the cap, or how the cap belongs to each specific rod, I want to talk about the orientation of the piston to the rod and to the motor. Okay, so you'll note here on this piston there's a little dot here, okay? And it's a little indentation. This faces the front of the motor, okay? The front of the car. And then if you look at this rod, one side has no dimple and one side has this dimple. So the dot, front of the motor, dimple, back of the motor. So once we disassemble this, when you put it back together, just make note of the dimple, or the depression versus the dimple, okay? So front of the motor, back of the motor, in my case, and all this came out of the number 3 hole. So I'm going to keep the piston and the rod, all this together in one spot. So you have to track it from disassembly to assembly, okay? All right, so that was a quick video, super simple. In the next video, we will be vapor blasting the pistons because they're all coked up with sludge and carbon and whatnot. So stay tuned for that one.